And for the people, the poets who will now enter the stage, a hearty welcome to Margaret Mascarenhas, Salma, Sumana Roy, and also Mani Rao, who will be facilitating this session, Secret Lives, Public Voices. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. This session is called Secret Lives, Public Voices. As evident from the title, it is going to touch on personal voices, autobiographies, and probably not as well. The point is that autobiography is implicit in anybody's work. And it may also be taken for granted. But of course, imagination is also autobiography. And by and large, there is the notion that truth is a legacy of poetry. And we expect poets to write from the material of their own lives, sourcing from their own experience. So, Sumana, Margaret, Salma, and Ranjani, who is going to translate for Salma, but she's a poet in her own right. Is your poetry fiction, non-fiction, or creative non-fiction? And how do they mix? Does the harsh glare of publishing upset the intimate spaces of your poetry? Do you suspect yourself of manipulating your readers if and when you are selectively autobiographical? Do you have secret poems that will never be made public? Will you tell us? Or will you keep us guessing? Welcome to all the panelists and look forward to hearing your poems. We start with Salma, and she's being helped by Ranjani Murali. And Ranjani has a session tomorrow. Absolutely, you have to attend that. I will. Salma, please carry on. Salma will read in Tamil, and Ranjani will read the English translation.
இன்று அவளது வருகையில் ஒரு அபத்த நாடகம் என் வீட்டு வரவேற்பறையில் நிகழ்கிறது. வறண்ட நிலத்தில் விழுகிற நிழலென அவளது கண்களுக்கு கீழாக சில இருள் வளையங்கள். பட்டாம்பூச்சி ஒன்று கக்கத்தில் படபடத்தது. பயத்தை மழையாக குவித்திருந்த இரு கருநீல விழிகளை அன்றும் நான் பார்த்தேன். பட்டாம்பூச்சியை படுக்கையிலும் வெளிகளில் உருண்ட பயத்தை கலட்டி டேபிளிலும் ஊறவிட்டாள். தனக்குள் அடைகாத்திருந்த மௌனித்திருந்த தூசணைகளை வாஷ்பேசினில் உமிழ்ந்து தண்ணீரால் கழுவினாள். நிலைக்கண்ணாடியில் பதிகிற ஸ்டிக்கர் புட்டின் மீது தெரித்து அமர்கிறது நொறுங்கி சிதற இயலாத வெறுப்பு. எங்களது நீளும் உள்ளங்கைகளுக்குள் தடுமாறும் வாதை. அன்றிரவு என் மேசையின் மீது பயம் மினுங்கும் இரு கருநீல விழிகள் உருண்டு கொண்டிருந்தன. இப்பேரண்டத்தின் மீது மிக அமைதியாக.
The impossible gift. Through her visit today, an absurd drama was enacted in my living room. Dark circles lurked beneath her eyes like shadows cast on arid ground. A butterfly flitted under an armpit. I saw dread piled high as a mountain in her dark blue eyes. Setting the butterfly to crawl on the bed, she pulled out the fear whirling in her eyes and let it slither across the table. Then she spat in the wash basin, the insults contained in the silence she had nurtured within herself, and flushed them away. Unable to crumble and scatter, her disgust splashed and settled on the sticker pot pressed in the wall mirror. Distress lay trapped within our outstretched palms. Nobody has a forest to gift to a woman who seeks only forests as arms. The butterfly at her side, she will continue her quest for a world bereft of homes. In some future where deserts bloom, may she too possess a forest. That night, a pair of fear-lit indigo eyes spun round and round on my table.
மௌனத்துரு. சொல்வாய் எனும் எதிர்பார்ப்பில் இடைவெளியின்றி விழுந்து நிரம்பிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறது திடமான மௌனம். எளிதாகவே இருக்கிறது வார்த்தைகளை பற்றி கொள்வதை விட, துருவேறு இருந்தாலும் கூட மௌனத்தை பற்றி கொள்வது.
The rust of silence. While I wait for your words, a heavy silence falls, fills the space uninterrupted. Easier indeed to trust in silence than to trust in words, though silence itself has rusted.
ஒப்பந்தம். ஒவ்வொரு முறையும் அம்மா நாசுக்காய் சொல்வதை அக்கா கோபமாய் சொல்வாள். படுக்கை அறையின் தவறுகள் எல்லாம் என்னுடையதென. தினமும் படுக்கை அறையில் எதிர்கொள்ளும் முதல் பேச்சு இன்றைக்கு என்ன? அநேகமாக இறுதி பேச்சும் இதுவாகவே இருக்கும். வேசைத்தனத்தினை சுட்டும் விரல் ஒளிரும் கோடி நட்சத்திரங்களிலிருந்து நீள நடுங்கும் இரவுகளில் மிதக்கும் அறிவுரைகள். குட்டிக்கு உணவூட்ட இயலா பூனையின் தேம்பி அழும் குழந்தை குரல். தேம்பி அழும் குழந்தை குரல் கவ்வி பிடிக்கிறது ஈரலை. உனக்கும் கூட புகார்கள் இருக்கலாம். என் நிலைப்பாடு காலத்தாலும் வரலாற்றாலும் தெளிவாக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. உன்னிடமிருந்து கலங்கலானதே எனினும் சிறிது அன்பை பெறத, உனது குழந்தையின் தாயினும் பொறுப்பை நிறைவேற்ற, வெளியுலகில் இருந்து சானிட்டரி நாப்கின்களையும் கருத்தடை சாதனங்களையும் பெற இன்னும் சிறு சிறு உதவிகள் வேண்டி, முடியுமானால் உன்னை சிறிதளவு அதிகாரம் செய்ய, நான் சிறிதளவு அதிகாரத்தை ஸ்திரப்படுத்திக் கொள்ள. எல்லா அறிதல்களுடனும் விரிகிறது என் யோனி. எல்லா அறிதல்களுடனும் விரிகிறது என் யோனி.
The contract. Always, my sister will repeat in anger what Amma says most subtly, that I am to blame for all that goes wrong in the bedroom. Every day in the bedroom, these are the first words to greet me. So what is it today? Often they are the last words too. From 1,000 shimmering stars pointing fingers accuse me of whoredom once again, and counsels float into the trembling night. The childlike sobbing of a cat unable to feed its litter seizes me by the entrails. You too may have your complaints, but time and our history make very clear where I now stand, to receive a little love, however tarnished, from you, to fulfill my responsibility as your child's mother, to buy from the outside world my sanitary napkins and contraceptives, and for many other little favors, to hold a little authority over you if possible, to strengthen what authority I have just a little. In full knowledge of all this, my vagina opens.
Yeah.
Please say something about
Yeah.
your work to us.
கவிதைன்றது ஒரு சுய அனுபவம் மட்டும் இல்லை, அது ஒரு சுய அனுபவம் சார்ந்த பிறருடைய அனுபவங்களையும் ஒரே சமயத்தில் அது மொழியாக மாற்றிக்கிறது. அப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு நிலையில தான் அந்த கவிதை வந்து அடையாளம் படுத்தப்படாது. அதாவது வாசகர்களோடு சேர்ந்து தான் அந்த கவிதை வந்து அடையாளப்படுத்தப்படுது. நான் குறிப்பாக பெண்களுடைய படைப்புகள் அப்படின்னு பார்க்குறப்போ, அவங்க எழுத ஆரம்பித்ததும் ஆண்களுடைய படைப்புகளை கவிதைகளை பார்த்து யாரும் எதுவும் கேட்குறதில்ல. இது உன்னுடைய சுய அனுபவமா? இதுதான் இங்கே பிரச்சனை.
So I think what Salma is saying is that very often poetry that comes from the self, specifically in the context of women, is not just an assimilation of their experiences. It is very much cognizant and it's very much aware of the experiences of others, you know, both the material and the spiritual realities of others. and the very palpable physical realities and sensations and sensory experiences, I think, of others. And that is what makes it whole. So it is not essentially just a movement from the self, it is also a recognition and an assimilation of what is happening with other people. I think maybe specifically the addressee in this poem, the person that is being, sort of spoken to. And then the other thing that I think she said, which really I love, is that in the context of women's poetry, this question comes up a lot as to, are these your experiences? Are you writing from yourself? And she feels that that's not something that is often asked of male poets, and that is actually problematic. And so that's as far as we've come.
ரெண்டு கவிதைகள் வந்து சமீபத்தில் நான் எழுதின கவிதைகள். ஒன்று வந்து மர்ஜுவானா ஒரு பெண் ஸ்மோக் பண்ணிவிட்டு வைன் சாப்பிட்றது, அப்புறம் ஒருத்தர் கூட ஒரு செக்ஸ் வச்சுக்கிறது. இதுதான் அந்த கவிதையுடைய கான்செப்ட். இன்னொரு கவிதை வந்து இந்த ஆப்ரிக்கன் கண்ட்ரீஸில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு பெண்களுக்கு கிளிட்டோரியஸ் சின்ன ஆப்ரேஷன் பண்ணுவாங்க. அந்த கவிதை வாரிஸ் டயர்ங்கிற ஒரு பிரபல மாடல் கூட இருக்காங்க. அந்த கவிதையும் அதை பற்றின, ஏன்னா இன்றைக்கும் சவுத் இந்தியாவில் இலங்கையில் அது ஃபாலோ பண்ணிகிட்ருக்காங்க. இஸ்லாமிக் பீப்புள் வந்து அதை இன்னும் அது சின்னதாக பண்ணிட்டு தான் இருக்காங்கன்னு இருக்குது. இது ரெண்டு கவிதையும் ஒன்று வந்து ஒரு பெண்ணுடைய அனுபவத்தில் கஞ்சாசு புகைக்கிறத பற்றியும் அது எழுதியிருந்தேன். ரெண்டு கவிதைகளுமே நான் தமிழில் இன்னும் பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணலை. இது ஆங்கிலத்தில் டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணி பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். ஆனால் இன்னும் நான் தமிழில் அது பண்ணலை. ஏன்னா இன்றைக்கி விமனோட இந்த அனுபவத்தை பார்த்ததும் உடனே இது ஒரு எதிர்ப்பு வரும் இல்லையா. ஒரு முஸ்லீம் பெண் வந்து மர்ஜானா ஸ்மோக் பண்ணுறாங்க, வைன் குடித்தாங்க, அது போதை சம்மந்தமானது, அப்புறம் இன்னொருத்தர் கூட செக்ஸ் வச்சுக்கிறாங்க. அந்த மூணும் அதுக்குள்ளே இருக்குது. பட் அது என்னோட பர்சனல் அனுபவமாக பார்க்கப்படும். இதுதான் இங்கே பிரச்சனையே. அது பெண்ணுக்கு நிறக்கூடிய ஒரு பெரிய சிக்கல் நான் நினைக்கிறேன் படைப்புக்குள்ளே.
Salma's talking about two specific poems that have remained translated in English and have not actually been published in the original in Tamil, and her reservations as to why or how that happened. The first poem is about the speaker of the poem is a female identified person who drinks wine and smokes marijuana and has sex, all of which she fears will be construed as sort of coming from her own direct experience, which isn't true, because we all know that persona poems are essentially performances of, alternate selves, and not necessarily even alternate selves, I think, of other various sort of entities. And so she feels kind of guarded about, I think, letting those poems out into the world, because she does not want them to be construed primarily as, coming from her direct experience. It comes from more of a social consciousness. The second poem that she's talking about is actually written from the perspective, or it concerns of female genital mutilation, or talks about female genital mutilation as a practice which happens inside the Islamic community, as she said, still in the south and in Sri Lanka. And that again is something that I think involves the social consciousness and political consciousness of people, and isn't essentially sort of coming, or should not be construed as coming from a personal space. And I think the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what is being written about, it should not ever be construed as coming from that sort of necessarily performative, self-performative sort of space.
Thank you. Time for one more poem.
Can I? Yes, please. Midnight Tale. இரண்டாம் ஜாமத்து கதை. குழந்தைகளை பெற்றதற்கு பிந்தைய இரவுகளில் பழகிய நிர்வாணத்திற்கிடையில் அதிருப்தியுற்று தேடுகிறாய் என் அழகின் களங்கமின்மையை. பெருத்த உடலும் பிரசவ கோடுகள் நிரம்பிய வயிறும் ரொம்பவும் தான் அருவெறுப்பூட்டுவதாய் சொல்கிறாய். இன்றும் இனியும் எப்போதும் மாறுவதில்லை எனது உடல் என்றும். நிசப்தத்தின் பள்ளத்தாக்கில் புதையண்டிருக்கும் என் குரல் தனக்குள்ளாகவே முனகிக் கொண்டிருக்கும். உண்மைதான், என் உடலைப் போலல்ல உன்னுடையது. பறைசாற்றிக் கொள்வதில், வெளிப்படையாக இருப்பதில். இதற்கு முன்னும் கூட உன் குழந்தைகள் யார் யாருக்கோ பிறந்திருக்கலாம். உன்னிடம் தடயங்கள் இல்லை என்பதால் நீ பெருமை கொள்ளலாம். நான் என்ன செய்ய? எனது நசிவைப் போலத்தான் இந்த பிரசவ கோடுகளும். எளிதில் செப்பனிட முடிவதில்லை. வெட்டி ஒட்டிவிட இவ்வுடல் காகிதம் இல்லை. உன்னை காட்டிலும் மோசமான துரோகத்தினை புரிந்திருக்கிறது இயற்கை எனக்கு. உன்னிலிருந்து தானே தொடங்கிட்டு எனது தோல்வியின் முதலாவது நிலை. முதல் ஜாமத்தை காட்டிலும் விபரீதமானது கனவுகள் பெருகும் இரண்டாம் ஜாமம். சுவரோவியத்தில் அமைதியாக அமர்ந்திருந்த புலி இவர் இரண்டாம் ஜாமத்தில் தான் என் தலைமாட்டில் அமர்ந்து உற்று பார்த்து கொண்டிருந்தது. தேங்க்யூ.
Beautiful. Reminds me of Blake's poems, but you'll see why in just a minute. A Midnight Tale. These nights, following the children's birth, you seek dissatisfied within the nakedness you know so well, my once unblemished beauty. You are much repelled, you say, by a thickened body and a belly crisscrossed with birthmarks. My body, though, is unchanging, you say, today, hereafter, and forevermore. My voice, deep buried in the valley of silence, mutters to itself. True indeed, your body is not like mine. It proclaims itself. It stands manifest. Before this too, your children perhaps were born in many places to many others. You may be proud you bear no traces of their birth. And what must I do? These birthmarks cannot be repaired any more than my own decline. This body isn't paper to cut and paste together or restore. Nature has been more perfidious to me than even you, but from you began my first stage of my downfall. More bizarre than the early hours of night is the hour past midnight where dreams teem. It is now, at this midnight hour, the tiger which sat quietly within the picture on the wall takes its place at my head and stares and stares.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. May I now welcome Sumana Roy to read from her work.
This is a session on public voices and secret lives. I think we live in a We live in an age where there are no secrets. We broadcast our secrets like news on social media. The difference between news and secrets is only one of medium and intensity. News breaks, secrets leak. And yet it is for secrets and not news that we go to literature. For, as Ezra Pound reminded us, literature is news that stays news. Whether it's narrative or non-narrative, a poem, a story, a film, a novel, or even scientific experiments, we are always looking for secrets. Some of these poems that I shall read for you today are secrets of the insides of my body. This is very effusive. Almost a paraphrase of diagnostic reports, of relationships with other humans, as also with the most difficult human I know, myself. The first poem is called The Third is a Betrayal. It begins with an epigraph from T.S. Eliot's The Waste Land. I quote, "Who is the third who walks always beside you? When I count, there are only you and I together. But when I look up the white road, there is always another one walking beside you. But who is that on the other side of you?" Unquote. Marriage, you once said, was a comedy of manners, and only that. It's the way you rest the fork on your breakfast plate, an embalmed gesture of a lifetime, like yawning is to boredom. I disagreed again. It's the steam from the teacup. Only cold will give birth to the display of heat, and so anger and vapor, now both lost lottery tickets. Not scarlet, but egg yolk yellow, the color of overdose, of gluttony, of blind lane travelogues in middle age, of adultery. There's a stranger in that word, and a train whistle. Adultery became a street lamp. My nights stayed up with them. Everything became eating. The marriage, a fish. We took turns to sort out bones. The sea was elsewhere. We spoke to each other in the mirror, mediated by a third, not noticing the gaps between seeing and speaking. Marriage became a marathon as long as your attention span. The stillness of our lives, was it that you wanted to cut? Like paper kites rip the sky's calm? Water is always a surprise, hot or cold. And so a third in a marriage, child or the shadow on the fence. Both are outsiders. Only one's shadow does not disappear with the sun. The third, the third. The third is a bird whose smell appears before it does, perhaps like wrinkles before old age. Once, things were not thrown. My parents' attic still has them. Spades without handles, rope, rubber band, ribbon, things that tie, and broken taps. They might sprout water someday. Their marriage was a present always wrapped for tomorrow. Now, there are only epigraphs, yours from Tagore. Pain is what error is in our intellectual life, mine from the tailor. You and I are now the third, a lifetime strangers without beaks, feeding on an iterant holy betrayal. The second poem is called Hospital. Illness rinses my insides while I wait for you to dye my hair. Syringes and needles lie carcass to a past in my blood. You like color. My paint is dark sputum, sunlight a walking stick with which you reward me. We repeat passwords of bank accounts, sweet lime, pomegranate, apple, banana. You fill my canvas with demons of promises. My tongue drains of its mother. You scold me in unfamiliar languages. I sit straight in bed, my spine in ballet. Good health is a skit I now rehearse every evening. The doctor claps with stethoscope beats. He borrows the sound of my heart for his orchestra. You plan like an ant who suddenly discovered the season's immortality. You hold my hand as if it was an umbrella you're opening into the rain. You plug my ears with your fingers. The world is a firecracker whose sound you're guarding me from. But I can hear what they say. I see it on their calendar faces. You move wispy hair from my forehead. You count time in finger taps. Convalescence arrives like an unfulfilled expectation. You treat health like bed linen, ironing out its creases around my body. You treat me how to breathe, to steal air from its march past. You stir spoons in empty glasses. You scold the thermometer. You calculate. You wait for my fever to dissolve into inconsequential sweat. You promise to take me home as if I was a newlywed bride. You talk of the past as if it was the future. And when my body begins making my future a past, you look at me as if I was an old photograph. I wait for a new album. The next poem is called Ulcer. The world's mouthwash drains into my gullet. The slap of acid, beat by beat. A fresco of corrosion in the esophagus. That beauty is an untouchable the doctor spies on. The betrayals of endoscopy. All great art comes from suffering. Now I know the pain of canvases as they are pinched by paint. All sounds grow faint. The crowd of pain is a roar that drowns all other secrets. I stay up to give it company. I eavesdrop on hospital gossip and watch the night fold into an anthology of obituaries. The next is called Spit Feast. We come to see from air to feast, to sink and stub all prepositions. Tu. We come to see for soliloquy. Tu. One speaker, one water, one love. Tu. Blood makes its own demands. Heat, flow, clot, and the need to conquer numbers. Tu. To look at the sea, to believe in it, is to know that there is nothing beyond it. Tu. We come to see, to spit, to hiss without reserve, to become ululation. Tu. Here in the sea is our spit's final destination. Tu. We come to see, to drown witches, those oversexed beasts that live in our winter clocks. Boredom, impatience, deadlines. Tu. To look at the waves is to discover how the sea serves tirelessness, the ancient god of love. Tu. For only love is more tireless than the sea. Like an infant playing with its legs, the sea entertains itself. Its rest is always the sand. There the two. We come to see, to stop being man, for only humans spit after a feast. Tu. We come to see, to be assured that our spit will reach the other. Tu. We come to see, to encounter what we have feared most, the privacy of spit in our marriage. Tu. Here our feet can touch as the roots of our lives do, without the entanglements of mouths. Tu. Our hands, our leaves, our nails remain, eager with penitence, but scared to touch. Tu. And then, as sea sand soaks spit, and our tongues tire of feasts, we preserve histories like dentures, the mouth's vengeance in a jar. Tu. One more. Thank you, Mani. This is also a secret turning into news. The poem is called Go to Pakistan. There was always the regret of being born after the birth of Proverbs, of being an Arabist when a teacher said, "Too many cooks spoil the broth." For in your home was only one cook, a tired and reluctant mother, de-seeding papayas. Or when your grandfather behaved like God, saying, "Honesty is the best policy." You wanted to tell him how that adage had passed its expiry date. What silliness might have incubated that folk knowledge? What strange times. No history book tells you those. Historians don't care for the birth dates of wisdom. You've known it intuitively, how every generation gives birth to at least one. You laugh at those that fueled your parents. Aram haram hai. They owe their knee pains and life insurance policies to it. You laugh at your uncle who was nearly killed by Indira Hatao Desh Bachao. One day you suddenly notice how aphorisms are always by the anonymous. And you immediately turn into an adult. You grow anxious, you're a competitor. You want your generation's proverb to be victorious, as if wisdom were a best-selling category. You still don't understand the difference between proverbs and slogans. You can't yet see the scaffolding of history that keeps slogans alive. Proverbs are a community's heirlooms. You must measure your height against them. Your stadium sports grow shorter, playtime the distance between home and the workplace. Your eyes feed industries and capitalism. Everything is an advert, including yourself. Your generation still hasn't found a proverb. You wonder whether it's a one-word magic, delete. You vote like you got married. In both, you are tourists. The serious leaves you aimless. Silence is too domestic, a stupor. You turn to the noise for a proverb. The clamor and the anger have scanned the statement. Go to Pakistan. At first, it surprises you. It's teenage parody of go to hell. Then you feel it grow inside you, like a male hormone, pushing your skin, giving you pleasure. An actor says something on TV. He's only describing the shape of his fear. They give it definition. He's made a film called Ravan and Dawn. A yogi turns him into a terrorist. Go to Pakistan, Chak de India. It could be a film, the dialogue thrown at him. He lives here, but his Atma is in Pakistan. But this Atma is not soul, it's the colloquial for ghost. Pakistan becomes a graveyard story. It's been growing through the summer, the words gathering girth. You can't find the moral in the adage. The Bandra police beat up the Sheikh brothers and instruct, go to Pakistan. Those who are dying without beef can go to Pakistan. If Muslims want any special treatment as Muslims, they should go to Pakistan. Those opposed to Narendra Modi should go to Pakistan. If the BJP loses in Bihar, crackers will burst in Pakistan. Say Vande Mataram or go to Pakistan. Pakistan, slaughterhouse, luxury spa, language school. They become travel agents. Sell that place, send them to Pakistan. Sometimes they want to break the monotony. They make it sound like Kala Pani. Ghulam Ali will sing in Delhi. They are insecure. They change the verb. Go invites its opposite. Don't you dare come here. Stay in Pakistan. And every day, new partitions grow inside televisions. One day, a crow flies away with an ear of baby corn. The young greengrocer's words pursue the bird. Go to Pakistan, and you grow certain that this is how all proverbs are born. Thank you.
Margaret, please, next. Thank you. May I welcome Margaret?
Is on. I'm going to, as usual, resist explaining my work. I mean, if I have to encapsulate it a little bit, some people call it feminist poetry. I like to call it maybe womanist poetry, but I'd say some of it is personal, some of it is outward-looking. I'm going to be reading from some of my earlier work, since I've never read in Bangalore before, and some of my newer work. Some of the newer work was a kind of a pushback to an incident that occurred in Goa some months ago, where a perfumist friend of mine was murdered, and in a really awful way by her security guard. And subsequent to that, I've read about such incidents just continuously. So some of my work is still pushing back against that. I'll start with some of my work from Triage, which is more on a personal level. When you wouldn't hear me. Finally, when you wouldn't hear me, I thought, I'm ready to perform the surgery now. Excise your smug inattentiveness, cut your rationalizations into ribbons, and plant upon your lips a souvenir kiss. I have learned where to leap when the carpet is pulled, how to balance on the edge of a cliff, how to ride the waves in a storm. Momentarily, I consider salvation, but there are too many animals missing from this ark. Echo gets a second chance. White satin between my thighs, the stain of fresh berries on my lips, a real rose in my hair, not cold silver. Can you see? I'm cleansed with water of lavender. I'm polished with oil of jasmine. Look at my skin glowing like a beacon. An invitation to others, not you. Observe me strumming the hair strings of my guitar. Observe me singing myself back to life. Observe this jubilant revelry of the senses. What did you say? I can't hear you yelling. I can't hear your toxic disdain. I can't hear your chronic discontent. Look how I spit out the black crow. Look how I refuse the hot air. Look how I no longer receive your Trojan horses into my heart. Behold, narcissist, my voice, no longer condemned to repeat. Behold how I repay a favor with a fountain of silver culled from your mirror. My lover at work. After love, when he thinks I'm asleep, I spy on my long-distance lover while he works. You're older now, our lives divided by an ocean, our pairing only once or twice a year. We are self-sufficient like that. We rarely ask questions about the in-between. The lamp by the window illuminates where furrows surge deep and methodical as rivers, more emphatic with age, gather speed to shoot around the bend of a worn cheekbone, fading near a hungry cavern where ancestral echoes dwell. Only once have I seen a silver stream run riot over lips that form the name of one who was lost. This was my first reaction when my friend Monica was killed. I don't know if it's a poem or what it is, but it's a kind of a call to arms. It's very tiny, but I'm just going to read it to set the tone for the rest of the poems that I'm going to read. Women, gather your familiars together, hold them close, and if your jasmine sphinx is brutally broken, feather her fierce yet gentle heart with wings. Then open your mouth and swallow the jackal whole. This is how he erases her. He borrows her from her other life. He has no idea his gurus are dinosaurs. They are all dead. He's never heard of the ones blazing new trails who fill the pages of her journal. He gives her 6 pieces of silver. When the time comes, he knows the drill. He invented it. He commiserates. He tells her this is freedom, that what is wrong is right. He knows how to govern. He reminds her of dates, anniversaries, groceries, insurance renewals, GST. He offers her critical thinking, magazine clippings for her notebooks. She knows that within these pages there is no privacy. The skull is the only reliable safe for the child bride turned serial adulterer, in thought if not in deed. She sees her life as fractured and flawed. Memories erode her dreams. They connive in old photos. They remind her of an earlier master announcing her change to the way things might have always been. She does not see her way out. Her imaginary lover says to her, "The way out is in." A letter to the patriarch regarding your application for absolution. As though changing your name each time reborn would absolve you, as though by celebrating Lakshmi Puja, as though by chanting Hail Mary, as though there will be 72 virgins. Footbinder, land bandit, inquisitor, ass. No goddess will come to your after party. As though there is absolution for this formula. Drowning equals innocent. Surviving equals guilty. Guilty of seducing stars, moon, sun, earth, life, of knowing the names of plants and their uses, of placing a cool palm on your fevered brow, of bearing a girl child. Ingrate, your name carries the density of osmium and the haunting of a million ghosts. If it's absolution you seek, next time come back as she. The mango tree. Seemingly frail, you bend my strength as I, younger, with dimpled smile, once pulled my lovers to the ground. Climbing my limbs, you suck my golden globes and beg for more, but you have reached my last fruit. My branches are lighter now. There will still be seasons after you. There will still be passion after you. And so I dance to the wind to celebrate your departure, my leaves treading air in sunlight. Caracal. The caracal marauding my garden again, soft feral steps menacing, eyes glowing in the dark. I swing my arm wide, she retreats to the trees. My own domesticated boys, black and tan and the one dipped in honey, my pampered boys gaze indolently into the night while the kitten fights their tails. This is why they don't take cats seriously. The garden, an acre unmanicured, teems with small nocturnal creatures, generously offering the kill. The caracal leaves my boys alone. It's a fair deal. Another killer hovering above my hammock. My martini and contentment too alluring to pass by. My boys are alert now. Scorpions are a different story. I pluck at the branch, capturing the neck of danger in the fingerteeth of my hand. Quickly now, before the sting, my snake arm swings and arc towards the moss-covered stone wall, jaws unhinged, opening wide. The caracal, magnificent, undaunted by my sudden arm movements, not even my reptilian replications, appears again with savage grace and eyes like neon. Then a scorpion floats in my glass. Invasion or reincarnation? A few seconds more, shrimp tail flickering, then still. Dead, finally? As if I would mourn such obtuse tenacity. I only want my soft, furry boys devoted to me alone. I only want my porcelain doll, the one on my bed, who has traveled with me through time. She gazes at me with eyes untamed. I know her. The caracal, her eyes, they are the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm afraid we don't actually have time for Q&A because we started a little late. So I'm going to have to say, try to catch the poets outside when, after the session. I don't have a choice. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing those powerful lines, thoughts, and verses. You were listening to the poetry from Margaret, Salma, and Sumana, besides the session being facilitated by Mani. May I request all the poets to come back for a group picture